Hello, everyone. Yay. Welcome. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Fantastic. It's lovely to see you all. All right. So I'm going to mute everyone to start with. And there we go. And Steve, if you would let anyone else into the room, and let's get started. So we don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to jump right in. Normally I would go around to each person, find out how they're doing and all of that, but we're not going to do that today. We're just going to get straight into it. So today's topic is to do with doubts, getting over doubts and lack of clarity. All right, so our aim by the end of today's session, is that you will understand the doubts a bit better, you'll have more clarity, and you'll have a tool that you'll take away for the coming week that you can use to hone that clarity, practice it, and get overcome the doubts. All right, so before I go into the doubts and the clarity in that, just to clarify the two main parts of manifesting anything that you want are, in the first instance, being in alignment with what you want. So if you think of yourself like you're driving from wherever you are now to where you want to be, so whether it's I have no money now and I want money, or I don't have a relationship now and I want a relationship, whatever that is, from here to there is like a journey. So you're in a car and you're driving. Now your GPS is set to that destination. That's part of what we're going to do. And in order to get to that destination, you have to stay on that road. If you go wandering off onto other roads, of course, it's going to take you a lot longer to get to where you want to be. And the equivalent is staying in alignment with what you want is the equivalent of staying on the route towards the desired result, the thing that you want. Every time you feel doubt, you get worried, you get triggered, you think about all the reasons why you don't have it, or you feel angry, frustrated. Every time you don't feel in alignment with what you want, it's like going off the road on a detour. And so you're wandering around in the wilderness. And that's okay, it's not the end of the world, but it means that as soon as you become aware of it, what you need to do is turn the wheel of your car and get back on the road that's going to get you to where you want to be. So hopefully that makes sense. So staying in alignment with what you want is the first part of manifesting what you want. And the second part is making sure that the subconscious references, which is your GPS coordinates, are set to what you want. So it's the same analogy as being in a car. You want to make sure that the GPS is set to go to whatever destination you want to end up in, and you've got to stay on that road. So those are the main two. That's really all it is. That's all you have to do, but it's not that easy. So, and what makes it not easy, of course, is the fact that you're dealing with stuff in the meantime. So the only reason it's difficult to do that is because you're dealing with day-to-day life and challenges. And so our aim is to give you the tools and the techniques and the knowledge and understanding that will help you to stay on track until you get what you want. All right, so I'm not going to answer everybody's questions separately. We've read through all the questions, and Steve and I have talked about them and discussed the answers. So the answers I'm giving now will hopefully answer everyone's questions. If they don't, so if by the end of today's little session, your question hasn't been answered, we're going to open up the floor to questions, so you can get those questions answered if we haven't already. All right. Steve is also on chat, so if you have anything in the meantime that you need to ask, just pop that in the chat. And yeah, and we're going to try and stick to the topic today. So today's topic is doubts and lack of clarity. We're going to keep it to that. So anyone who sent questions to do with subconscious beliefs or any other things, those will be answered in the following weeks. All right. So one of the main questions that a lot of people have is regarding clarity. How do I imagine what I want when I've never had it? So if I want to be wealthy, I've never had a lot of money, so how can I imagine that? Or I've never been in a happy relationship, so how can I imagine that from where I am now? And the answer to that is imagination. If you think about when you watch a scary movie, you don't have to have been in the situation the person's in. You don't have to have been hunted by dinosaurs to feel the fear of being hunted by dinosaurs, right? You don't have to have been in love to feel the feel-good emotions when you watch a rom-com. So imagination, the beautiful thing about the human brain and body is that the brain and the body don't know the difference between reality and imagination. And so when you just think about something, your brain and body will produce the matching chemicals. Now, it may not be exactly as it feels. So you're right in a way, until you're actually hunted by dinosaurs, you don't really know what it's like, okay? It's going to be according to your own references, but that is all you need for the law of attraction. And the other reason for that is because what you're aiming for, it doesn't matter what you're wanting to manifest right now. The thing you really are aiming for is how it will make you, or how you think it will make you feel. So the reason you want anything, the reason any of us want anything, is because of how we think it will feel to have it. So if you want money, it's because you have some kind of understanding of how you'll feel when you get the money. If you want a relationship, same thing. So, for example, I had always wanted to live in Hollywood. I was an actress, and I went, Hollywood, that's where I want to live. I'm desperate to live there. When I got there, I was like, what is this? It was nothing like I had in my head. Now, if in manifesting my life, if I had insisted that it be Hollywood that I end up in, I would have been really disappointed. But instead, I was going for the feeling of it. So what I did was focus on how I wanted to feel. I love my life. I love my life. That's all I did, was I love my life. And I've ended up in a place and situation and relationship that I could not have imagined from where I was. So as much as right now you may think, I want this business to work, I really want this business to be successful, that may not give you the end result that you actually think it will. So what you want to do is go, I want this business to be successful. Now, how will it feel? How do I think it will feel once it's successful? So for example, I'll feel free, and I'll feel confident and secure, and I'll just love the work I do. Now that's what you want to hone in on, the feeling of that. And we're going to give you a little technique today that's going to help you to make that much easier and quick to do. And then you are focusing on the feeling you want. So if you've never had a successful business and you're thinking, well, I don't know what success feels like, that's okay. What do you want to feel like? How do you know you want success? So you have some idea of how it will feel, because otherwise you wouldn't want it. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. The next thing to address is doubts. And this is very common, and everybody's got these, and I had a lot of them, so I know the feeling. There's an important distinction to remember. So doubts, logical doubts, are coming from the conscious mind, not the subconscious mind. So the initial trigger is coming from the subconscious, but it is the conscious mind that is arguing with you. So for example, I'm not clever enough to do this. I'm too old, I'm too young. How's it going to happen? I can't see a way for this to happen. Nobody wants it. You know, all of those kind of, nobody like me can ever achieve that. All of those, that's the conscious mind coming up with arguments. So the way I like to work is I like to shoot down all conscious logical arguments first, so that we take that veil away and then we can address what's behind it. Because otherwise, as long as you've got those conscious arguments floating around, the conscious mind is just going to keep arguing and keep coming up with it. So in the first instance, it is, you may have experienced things and experiences in your life and you think, whoa, I did not see that coming. And very often the ones that you'll remember are the bad ones. So, you know, things happen and it's ridiculous. How could that have happened? How did I not see that coming? So it shows you that there's not always a credible bridge or an obvious logical link between things. All kinds of things can happen at any time. So the fact that that you can't see a way doesn't mean there isn't one. So if you leave to drive somewhere from wherever you are now, so we're in Peoria, I'm going to say we're going to leave here and we're going to drive to Chicago. Now, I can't see Chicago from here. I can't even see the road that leads between here and Chicago, but that doesn't mean there isn't one. So as long as I've set the GPS correctly, and as long as I stay on the road that leads from here to Chicago, I will get there. I don't have to see every step of the way. And if there's a detour, I will follow the detour. I still don't know how. Oh, I know. The other analogy I came up with yesterday when I was talking with Steve, I was trying to remember it this morning and now I've remembered it, is when you go on a plane. That's the best one. So, you know, when you get on a plane, when you're going to fly somewhere, right? And so you don't know how the plane works, or what kind of route it's going to take, or how the pilot gets it to do what it does. But you know, you trust, you know that you get on the plane and you end up, and then you'll get off and you'll end up where you're going. This is the same. So what most of us do is we sit at the airport, bless you, Sylvie. Most of us sit at the airport and, you know, wonder and go, but how does this thing fly? You know, but I don't know how it works, but I can't see it. I can't see how I'm getting from here to there, right? So that's sitting in the airport, you know, arguing instead of just getting on the plane. So instead, you get on the plane, you order a drink, you have your meal, you watch a movie, and then you get off the plane at your destination. That's what we're aiming for. So hopefully that helps to address the doubts, the conscious resistance, which is the doubts, which, you know, I don't know how to get from here to there. And the other thing is, if you do a little research, but you've probably already heard about all kinds of people achieving all kinds of things, and you go, how did they, you know, how did someone who's like that achieve that? And it's because their GPS was set to that end result and they stayed on the road, whether that was a deliberate thing or an automatic thing that they weren't aware of. So there are people of all ages achieving all kinds of things. There are people who are disabled achieving things that people wouldn't expect them to achieve. There are people who, you know, are considered unattractive, who are in wonderful relationships. So there are people who are considered not very intelligent, who are millionaires. There are people who have no education, who are millionaires, who've come up with whatever ideas. It's not about what you have, it's about what you're doing with it. And what you're doing with it is about how your brain is performing in the first instance and developing in the second instance. And that you have complete control over. No matter what you were born with, no matter what patterns and habits you've developed in the meantime, no matter what state you're in right now, you do have the power and the ability to override it by choosing what you do with your brain now. And the brain, as we know now, as probably most of you know, but I'm going to say it just in case there's anyone who's not aware of it, neuroscience now has discovered that the brain is constantly changing structure. It's constantly adapting. So you are not stuck with what you have now. In other words, if you want to do something and you think, oh, but I don't have the skill, it doesn't matter how old you are or what you think you're capable of, your brain will automatically develop the neural networks that are needed to achieve that. But of course, you have to take the action to do it. So it's about putting aside those conscious, logical arguments and doing the things anyway. So when you go to see a scary movie and there's the movie's on the screen and you get drawn into it and your brain and body go into that state of fight, freeze, flight, the only thing that's stopping you from running screaming into the street is the fact that your conscious mind knows it's just a movie. And that is exactly the way you need the attitude you need as you move forward in your life now, is when things don't seem to be working out. So you go along, I'm trying to change my money situation and I get another threatening letter or a bill, or something doesn't work out, or nobody buys my new product, or whatever it is, or I get rejected by the person that I was, that I was hoping to end up with. Whatever it is, you look at it, you acknowledge it. We're not going to deny that it's happening. We're going to go, yes, that's what's happening now, but I'm not buying into it. I'm moving through. So another analogy is when you're going back to the driving analogy, you're here now and you want to get there to whatever success, whatever the goal is that you're aiming for. When things appear to go wrong, see that as a storm on the road. So you're driving along and you hit a storm. Now, in real life, when you're driving and you hit a storm, you don't stop the car and get out and go, oh, there's a storm, I don't know what I'm going to do, and pitch a tent. You keep driving and you know that you'll get out of the storm. You know you'll come out the other side, and your focus is on where you're going, not on the storm. And if you need to put on an audio book or put on the radio or put on music, if the storm is scary, to get you through it, then do that. And the equivalent of that is when life is appearing scary, things are looking bad, see that as a storm you happen to be driving through right now. It's very scary, it's very real, but do whatever it takes to distract yourself until you get through it. So watch comedy, listen to music, do physical exercise, look for 5 things to be grateful for, do any of the other techniques that you use to get yourself out of that stress, and knowing that it's the equivalent of I'm listening to the radio until the storm has gone, or I'm listening to an audiobook until the storm is gone, and I'll come out the other side. And the thing that makes the difference here is that with driving through a storm, you know for a fact you're going to come out the other side, because that's how that's how the world works. You've done it before, right? When you drink too much and you get a hangover, you know it will pass. You don't call an ambulance because you know that this is part of what happens, and then eventually. But if you didn't know, if you drank a lot and you woke up with a hangover and you didn't know that was a hangover, what would you do? You'd be calling an ambulance. You'd be telling people I'm dying, something terribly wrong with me, right? The same with physical exercise. When you get sore muscles, if you didn't know that that's part of the process, that's part of getting fitter, getting stronger, is getting sore muscles. Again, you would go, exercise doesn't work. In fact, it makes everything worse. I'm never doing that again. But and so that's what makes the difference here. Part of manifesting what you want, part of getting from here to where you want to be, is going through challenges. And it looks real and it looks like a hangover. I mean, it's a hangover that looks like I'm dying, but it's because you don't know it yet. And as you keep moving forward, as you experience this, you'll start to recognize it, and you'll start to go, yeah, this is just part of the process. I'm going to come out the other side. It's just a storm. It's just a hangover. It's just sore muscles. It's just a scary movie. So, and understanding why it's so strong and so real and so scary also helps, and that's because we're designed for survival. So the stress chemicals that are produced when we feel any negative emotion are survival, are part of our survival system. So we are designed so that those stress chemicals are stronger than anything else, so that they can grab and hold our attention until that bear has gone. But of course, there's no bear. Is it an empty bank account, or some rejection, or a disappointment, something that didn't work out, or we can't see how something's going to happen? Exactly the same chemicals are produced as would be produced when there's a bear. And that's why it's so hard, because we look at the empty bank account and we feel the same stress we would if our life was in danger. And that's what, and then the focus goes onto it, and it's difficult to pull your focus off it because it's survival. But what you can do is, number one, catch it early. The earlier you catch it, the lower the stress chemicals, the lower the level of stress chemicals, which means the easier it is to pull your focus out of it. And number two, put your focus on something else that's going to change your state, and that can be very difficult to do. And Steve and I both know that, and we're constantly trying to find new ways of helping people to do it. But it's important to know, to keep reminding yourself in the back of your head that that's what it is. So it feels, this hangover feels like I'm going to die, but I know it's just a hangover. Okay. So staying on track while you are dealing with daily challenges, while you're dealing with what is on your way to what you want, is the most difficult challenge to overcome, but that is what will get you where you want to get to. So what we want to do, the other thing, that's right. So the other analogy I wanted to share with you, and I'm sharing all these because for different people, different things may help at different times. And you know, I don't know if you've ever had the experience of going to a supermarket or a shop with a small child who wants something. You know, they want sweets, or they want a toy, or whatever. And can I have this? Can I have this? Can I have this? Now, this is how, the most effective way of dealing with that is the same most effective way of dealing with your mind. And it's, oh, that's lovely, very nice. Yes, that's lovely, but we're not going to get it today, and move on. That's it. There's no arguing. There's no struggling. There's no debate. There's no anger. It's just, and you do the same with your mind. So when your mind wanders off to, but this will never work, you go, yes, very nice, okay, and moving on. So, because when you start fighting it or arguing it, then arguing it with it, that's when it pushes for, you know, that's the resistance. Then your conscious mind will, then you're arguing with yourself. So you don't want to push against it. You don't want to argue. You don't want to arm wrestle with it. You want to go, you want to acknowledge it and go, yes, I see that it looks really bad. Anyway, moving on. And then shift your focus. All right. So now the little tool that we want to give you, and this is your homework for this week, is, and some of you may already have this, you may already know it, but your homework for this week is to do this all the time and prioritize it above everything else, and do only this. I mean, you can do other things as well, but this is your top priority, and treat it, Andrea's laughing, you're doing nothing else for the whole week. Treat it as your top priority, treat it as an experiment. Okay, you cannot say that this doesn't work unless, of course, you do it. So you have to do it in order to say it doesn't work, right? So I call it a touchstone. And so what you want to do is you want to pick, and this helps with clarity as well. So whatever you are wanting to manifest in your life, pick one moment that you will experience once you've got it. No details. You don't need any details. So to give you an example, mine was simply, I love my life. That's all. It's one sentence, one phrase, one moment. It can be high-fiving a friend. It can be saying to yourself, yes, I did it. Or it could be saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's another one of mine, where you just, thank you so much. That's all. It's literally just a second or 2 seconds. And no details, so you don't know what it's about. You don't know anything about the details of it. So whether you are wanting to manifest money or a relationship or success in your business or health or anything else, all you're going to do is, yes, I did it, or thank you, or I love my life. So it's very important not to put any words in there that are connected to the thing you're trying to manifest. All right, and the reason for that is because of the doubts. So this will help to overcome the doubts as well as help with clarity. So for example, if I'm in physical pain, and if I'm going, oh, I'm so grateful that I'm not in pain anymore, I'm focusing on the pain. Or if I'm going, oh, I'm so glad to have all this money, my conscious mind immediately goes, yeah, but you haven't got it yet. So that's why we don't want to put any details in. It's just, oh, thank you, or I'm so grateful, or, I did it, or I'm so fabulous, or whatever it is. Okay. So there's that one moment, and I'm going to check in a minute if anybody needs help finding a moment, because we can help you do that, or we'll help you come up with one. And then literally all day do this. So put reminder notes for yourself, put reminders in your phone if you need to. As you can see, it takes no physical effort, no time, and it doesn't cost you anything. So there's absolutely no excuse for not doing it. The one thing that probably will happen is you'll feel resistance. Absolutely, you will feel resistance. So expect to feel resistance. Expect that child to nag for the sweets or the toy. And what you're going to do when you hear the resistance, or when you experience the resistance, is, yes, very nice. Isn't that lovely? Anyway, I'm going to do it now. Right? So, and in fact, not even I'm going to do it now. It's this. So I'm going to say, okay, oh, yes, I love my life. And then something happens. I'm going about my day and I think, oh, yeah, I'm supposed to do that touch. That doesn't work. Yes, I love my life is what I'm going to do. Right? So I'm not going to deny that it doesn't work. I'm not going to say, yes, it does work. I'm not going to argue. I'm just going to do it anyway, because it's a child nagging, right? So you've got one job, one thing to do this whole week, and that is all. And I guarantee that if you do it, you will see some change this week, just from doing that. So, and again, remember, when you're going through the storm, the reason you're able to keep driving is because you know that the storm is temporary. You'll get through it. The reason you don't call an ambulance when you have a hangover is because you know it's just a hangover and it will pass. If you know that this is all you have to do this week and you'll see some change, if you knew it would give you change, you'd do it, right? No matter what. So every time you go to the loo, when you wake up in the morning, when you go to sleep at night, every time you make a cup of coffee, every time you look outside, just do it all the time. Do it all the time. And do it when you're feeling good, and so that it's easier to do when you're feeling bad as well. All right. So that's and then we will email you closer to next week to let you know to sort out next week's topic and get your questions on that. So now I'm going to open up to questions. First of all, does anyone need help finding a touchstone? Has everybody got Bill? I'm going to unmute you. Hey, Bill, how you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah.
It was just a quick question about it. Like, do I say, like I said to you in the email, I want to try and manifest £100,000.
Yes.
Because I want to pay my mortgage off and fix the house up. Now then, do I say in my head, £100,000 I love my life.
No, don't. So leave out the £100,000.
So you don't think about what it is you want to manifest. You just say, I love my life.
Exactly. Yes.
Right.
So let's say, because there may be a way that you end up in a situation where your mortgage is paid off, you're free, you've got a fabulous life without £100,000.
It will be fabulous when it's paid off. Yeah.
Of course. So here's the thing, but it may come in a way that you can't see from where you are now.
Yeah.
Number one. And number two, by leaving out the thing that you want, so by not saying £100,000, you're taking away the argument from your conscious mind. So all you want to do is you want to just take a moment to feel what it will feel like to have the mortgage paid off and have your life the way you want it. Just that.
Yeah.
How will that feel? And what will you say? What will you say to yourself? What will you say to your loved ones? You know,
I probably would say I love my life, because then I could start saving up for a holiday rather than pay the mortgage off.
Perfect. Exactly. So then that's what you want to do. You want to go, I love my life, and feel that feeling.
Yeah.
So it's important to add the feeling to it. But if you can't feel the feeling, sometimes, you know, there'll be times when you're triggered or you're worried or that, and you can't feel the feeling, say the thing anyway.
Yeah.
So for those of you who've read the story of Steve and I, our little adventure on Wednesday with the missing dog, you'll notice that Steve, you know, as worried and anxious and scared as we were, Steve was saying over and over again, yay, he's back. Yay, Koopy's back. Everything always works out, even while he was feeling scared and worried. So when you can't feel the feeling, it doesn't matter. Just keep saying the thing anyway, you know, and try and feel the feeling, but don't let that stop you. So
Right.
Does that answer your question, Bill?
Yeah, that's champion. That. Thank you.
Very good. Thanks for asking it, so it's clarified for others as well. I think, Sue, I'm going to come to you. I think Amy had her hand up earlier as well. Hi, Amy.
Hi there. I wanted to clarify. So we're thinking about what it'll feel like. So when you say I love my life, I have a negative feeling behind that. So I want to choose something that is more powerful to me. So when you said, yes, I did it, it's like the yes part, I feel more like there's no negative connotation behind it. So you want to pick something that, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Yes, if it has a negative connotation, then don't use it. So
right, then you're trying to make like a square peg into a round hole, trying to make it work. So okay.
Exactly.
So something yes, as far as an accomplishment, then I want to choose that yes statement. That it is. Okay.
Exactly. So yes, I did it, or thank you so much, or what, you know, something that makes you feel a good feeling as if it is done.
Right. Okay. But you're feeling what it feels like is what you want, but you're not focusing on that while the yes comment.
Well, here's the thing. So the feeling, what the thing feels like, is a stepping stone to what you really want to feel.
Okay. Got it.
If I want to win the lottery, sure, if winning the lottery is going to feel a certain way, but what I'm really aiming for is after I've won the lottery, and that feeling of, oh, I could do what I want. This is fantastic.
Okay,
that's what I'm aiming for.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Very good. And Sue? Hi, Sue.
Hi, nice to see you guys again.
Nice to see you too.
My mind just goes all over the show like fireworks with what do I say? How am I going to feel? Because I don't even know what I want. Yes. I suppose I don't know.
I remember your email. So what all you want is something like, just pick one, either, oh, thank you so much, or yes, that's all. Nothing else. You don't know why, you don't know what it is. And what I wanted to say to you is to do that. In other words, don't take action on anything yet. Just focus on one feeling of relief or happiness or, oh, that's wonderful.
Achievement in a way, I suppose.
Yeah. So you can just say, oh, that's wonderful. Oh, that's wonderful, over and over. Or, yes, thank you. Just one, but pick just one for the whole week, okay? And especially because you've got that going on, pick just one phrase and moment. One phrase and feeling.
I think I've got one. Oh, wow, that's just so awesome. I mean, is that too long?
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. And so say only that for the whole week. And when you think of being scatty, so for example, let's say you go, oh, wow, that's awesome, or whatever you've said there. And then your brain starts going, oh, should I do that? Or I don't know what to do. Oh, that's awesome is your only answer. Your answer to everything is that phrase.
Okay.
Okay. So Steve and I were saying it's
I always think like, oh, there's a better one there.
Yeah. Then you go, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. because things like a better one and that kind of thing, that's the resistance. That's just trying to maintain that same pattern of scattiness. And your answer to it, very nice. Yes. Anyway, that's awesome. So treat those little thoughts as the child, can I have this? Can I have that? Can I have that sweet? And you're going, oh, that's lovely. Very nice. Anyway, oh, that's awesome. Okay. That's what you want to do. That's you'll get into robot mode. And I'm just, write down your phrase if it helps and go, that is all I am saying.
Big everywhere.
So write down that one phrase and that's all you're doing. All you're saying, all you're doing with the feeling when possible. Does that help?
Yeah. You mustn't talk about robot mode though, because my robot short circuits. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
All right. Very good, Sue. And then Kara, I think you had your hand up.
Yes.
Hi, Kara.
Hi, how are you?
Very good, thank you.
Let's see. If this doesn't fit for this week, just tell me. Okay. But when you said catch contrast early and distract, I don't catch contrast early. It seems because I immediately get some kind of a health symptom. I don't very often experience emotions.
Okay, very good.
I kind of skip over them and it goes straight to my body, to one of my symptoms or a new symptom.
Okay, very good. So let's have a look at that. So when you say it goes to a symptom, give me an example of one of the first symptoms you notice.
Yeah, the newest addition to my symptoms is pains in my legs. I've never, ever had it in my life.
Okay.
All of a sudden, I'm getting these pains.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm assuming you've gone the medical route to make sure there's no medical reason for it.
I'm getting physical therapy for the pain.
Okay. All right. Because obviously for everybody as well, any physical symptoms, you want to, of course, have them addressed by a medical professional first. That's of course the first step. But if there's no and then after the medical thing, in priority wise, when you notice the symptom, what do you do normally? So let's say you've noticed the pains in your legs. What do you do next? What happens?
Well, usually it almost always happens when I'm laying down at night, like when I'm ready to go to sleep. So if I'm not too far into lower, slower brain waves, I tap.
Okay.
But if I'm really almost asleep and there's the pain, sometimes I'll stretch or move around to try to, or I'll do mental tapping.
Okay. And what happens inside your mind when that happens? So what do you think when you feel the pain? What thoughts happen inside you?
It depends on my mood. Mm-hmm. If I'm in a low mood, I might think things are really getting worse.
Okay.
Yeah, right. I'm really getting worse now.
Now that's where you need to interject with your phrase. So for you, for this week, whenever you feel a physical symptom, your phrase. So what touchstone have you chosen?
Oh, I know I can choose one. I didn't yet, though.
Okay. So whatever it is, if it's like, oh, thank you, or yes, I did it, you feel the slightest physical symptom, as soon as, so don't wait for it to get worse. As soon as you feel any physical symptom, immediately redirect to, oh, yes, thank you. So those physical symptoms, see them as the child.
Okay.
Nagging at you. And you're going, yes, sweetie. So don't fight them. Don't deny them. Acknowledge it and go, yes, I see that pain is there. Anyway, yes, I love my life, or I did it, or whatever your thank you, whatever your touchstone is.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Very good.
Thank you.
Make that your top priority. So see those symptoms as a nagging child, and you don't want to get angry or frustrated or buy into it or buy them the thing because that just makes it worse. You want to go, yes, okay, I see you. I understand. I hear you and I see you, but we're not doing that today.
Okay, now, so the nagging child, that's the subconscious, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's the automated patterns.
Yeah.
And so we will, of course, get to later on in this program, we'll get to changing the childhood memories and that. But for now, just to really, what we want to do is drop that veil first that's in front of it of the conscious logical arguments. And resistance, and get because once you've developed the ability to use this touchstone all the time, and you're in the habit of using it, it's going to be much easier to do everything else, to stay on track, to stay in alignment, and to change the memories and stay with the new ones.
Makes sense.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Very good. You're welcome. All right. So, any other questions? How's everyone else doing? Everybody else okay? And everybody else feel confident with moving forward? Steve, did you have something?
I was just gonna interject that what we're doing, or what we're suggesting that you're doing, is to consciously make a shift in what's automatically happening anyway. So your conscious mind is becoming aware, it's focusing on the what is and creating an emotional state. And what you're doing is to take conscious control of that, recognize what's happening, and then you're redirecting your focus, or you're shifting to that that state that you're trying to create. So instead of just allowing it to happen willy-nilly, or happen at and to feel like you have no control over that, you know that you want something in your life, you're trying to manifest something in your life. So instead of focusing on the fact that it's not here yet, and when that happens, it creates an emotional state, what we're doing is putting our focus out there in that future feeling state, and keeping your focus there. So you're just you're intentionally doing what your body is automatically doing now. Does that make sense? Did I say that in a way? I'm trying to, because the point is that when you focus on when you're focused on the details of what it is that you're trying to manifest, when you're focusing on the thing, it helps hold you in that negative state of it isn't here yet. So I was thinking about using the example of the lost dog this week, that if we would have stayed focused on the fact that the dog isn't here, and the reality of the dog isn't here, what's that going to mean? And it just continues to cycle into a feeling of panic and fear and whatever. It isn't really actually doing anything to help bring the dog back, and all it's doing is keeping you in a negative emotional state. So if you can push beyond that and put yourself into the feeling focus on the feeling of what's this going to feel like when I get to that future state, or what that future state's going to feel like. Even though it isn't here yet, it's putting you in that emotional chemical state, which is allowing for clarity, is allowing you to see things that wouldn't be there, or that you couldn't see if you're in that fear state.
Very good. Thank you, Steve. That's great. Andrea's just said, despite your success with Cooper, I shan't ask you to look after Mom.
Yeah. I was afraid that would happen.
So I also just want to clarify something, because I've just been reading through through some of the comments here, and I just want to just clarify something. So Anne said, do you say the same statement all the time, or use a variety of different statements? And Steve has replied, it can be a variation, but it's all about the feeling. So that is true, except for Sue. Okay. What I mean is, you can use a variety of statements, except for Sue. And Sue, the reason is, of course, because of the sketchiness that you've got going on at the moment. You want to pick one and just stick to that one. And you don't need a variety. I literally used only, I love my life. I love my life. And every time something went wrong, I went, I love my life, even when I couldn't feel it. Or just thank you. Now, you can use a few different ones if you want to, if it feels nice, but you don't need to. And as Steve said, it is the feeling that you're aiming for. But if you can't feel the feeling, say the words anyway. All right. So hopefully that, because that you want to get into, you want to be stubborn about doing it anyway, and not being able to feel the feeling can be a way of avoiding doing the exercise. And so you don't want to let your subconscious get away with that. You don't want to let that child get away with it. You go, yeah, very nice. We're going to say it anyway. And you're bound to have thoughts of, this is ridiculous. This doesn't work. This is silly. And the answer to that is maybe, but it doesn't cost anything. I might as well just do it. I'm going to do it anyway, because I can't say it doesn't work unless I do it. So I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to do it as much as I can. And then at the end of the week, I will come back and tell Odile and Steve it does not work. But I can only do that if I've actually done it. All right. So treat it as an experiment. All right. So any other questions? I'm just going to check my notes to make sure that I've included everything that I know. Yes, there's another analogy that I think is can be very helpful. And that is, if you've got a light in the middle of the room, a light bulb in the middle of the room, and you want to switch the light on, but let's say you've never switched the light on before. You've seen that lights can provide, that light bulbs can provide light, but you don't know how they work. You've never seen one before. So what you would do if you'd never experienced it before would be get a ladder, go up to the light bulb and try and make it go on, right? And you'd be focused on the light bulb, because that's where the light comes from. Now, if someone came to you and said, no, actually what you need to do is you need to turn around, you need to turn your back on the light bulb and walk over to the wall and flick that switch to make that light go on, you'd go, don't be ridiculous. That's got nothing to do with that. It's miles away. It's got nothing to do with it, right? This is the same. When the money's not happening, and the business is not happening, and whatever is not happening in your life that you wish would happen, that's the light bulb, and the light bulb is not going on. The switch is inside you. The switch is your state, your emotional state. So it feels counterintuitive when you're looking at, another bill you can't pay, or another, disaster, another terrible thing that's happened. It feels completely counterintuitive to walk away and watch a comedy video, or do some exercise, or listen to some music, or do something that feels some other activity that you love that feels good. It feels completely counterintuitive, but it's the switch. The switch is go and do something that feels good, instead of focusing on that light bulb, because you're not going to change it by looking at it, by focusing on it. And once you flick the switch, then you'll come back and you go, ah, yes, and you'll bring your prefrontal cortex back online. Then you'll come up with ideas, you'll be more creative, you'll be more productive, you'll think of things that you hadn't thought of before, and you'll feel inspired and motivated to do things that you weren't before. All right, so any other questions? Okay, very good, and we will be in touch by email. Of course, those of you who are in the Superpower course, do keep doing that, because that actually is going to change everything for you. So that's where your power is. So keep going through the Superpower course and practicing that. That is your top priority. And then just add this little touchstone to it as well. All right. We will see you all next week then. Have a wonderful week. And we'll see you then. Bye, everybody. Oh, wait. Before you go. Sorry. I meant to say that we've recorded this and we will send you the link, so you can watch this again to help you remember stuff. All right. Okay, bye now. Bye.